The movie begins with Chris, a 30-year-old millionaire living in America. Chris lives alone after separating from his wife, and he spends his days trying to fill the emptiness in his life. One day, feeling bored and lonely, he decides to go out for some fun. He takes his car and drives to a large supermarket to buy a few things. While shopping, Chris meets a girl named Sky. Sky appears to be stranded as her taxi has failed to show up, leaving her standing in the cold wind. Seeing her situation, Chris offers to drive her home. Sky accepts his kind gesture, and they set off together. However, upon arriving at her place, Sky hesitates to go inside. Sensing her discomfort, Chris invites her to his home instead. When Sky enters Chris' luxurious home, she is visibly impressed by his wealth. They begin chatting, and Sky suggests opening a bottle of wine to relax. As the night progresses, the two find themselves drawn to each other and decide to spend the night together. Chris feels an instant connection with Sky, and it seems the feeling is mutual. The next morning, Chris wakes up alone in his bed. Sky is nowhere to be found, leaving Chris wondering about the previous night and the feelings they had shared. Still captivated by her, Chris decides to visit the hotel where she mentioned she worked. When he arrives, they meet again, and the chemistry between them reignites. They have fun together, enjoying each other's company. Later, while Chris is walking Sky home, a robber suddenly appears and attacks them. Using a heavy metal object, the robber beats Chris severely, leaving him unable to move. Sky, feeling responsible for what happened, vows to stay by Chris' side and help him recover. Despite her insistence, Chris suggests hiring a nurse instead, believing it would be less of a burden. However, Sky insists that she owes him this care and moves into his home to take care of him. Sky goes back to her apartment to gather her belongings. She lives with a girl named Lisa, who has fallen into drug addiction under Sky's influence. Lisa is heartbroken when Sky announces she is leaving, begging her not to abandon her. But Sky coldly dismisses her pleas and takes her things, leaving Lisa behind. Back at Chris' home, Sky and Chris grow closer as they spend more time together. Chris finds himself falling deeper for her. But one morning, Chris wakes up to discover that his phone is missing. His phone is crucial to him as it controls the security systems in his house, including the cameras. Alarmed, he searches the living room but can't find it. As Chris continues to search and enters the living room, a news report on TV catches his attention. It's about Lisa, Sky's former roommate, who has been found. Shocked by the news, Chris tries to make sense of it. At that moment, Sky returns home with groceries and casually tells Chris to sit down for breakfast. When Chris asks about his missing phone, Sky lies, claiming she hasn't seen it. Then mentions Lisa's death, but Sky nonchalantly dismisses it, even laughing and saying Lisa killed herself. Chris is stunned by her lack of empathy. When Chris tries to find his phone to call the police, Sky reveals her true nature. She locks him in a room, leaving him trapped in his wheelchair. Chris demands answers, and Sky begins to explain. She admits that she had been watching Chris through the rented house. She confesses to being a thief and a murderer, that she moved in with Lisa 2 months ago to use their shared apartment as a vantage point to spy on Chris' home. She also admits to transferring money from Chris' account to her own. Meanwhile, Sebastian Reynolds, the landlord of Lisa and Sky's apartment, discovers the crime scene in their old place. When he enters the apartment to clean it up, he then notices the vantage point. He then sees Sky entering Chris' mansion. Suspicious, he decides to investigate and breaks into Chris' home through a window. Inside, he finds Chris tied up and begging for help. Chris offers him money in exchange for saving his life. Reynolds agrees and begins to untie him, but before they can escape, Sky returns home. Armed with a knife, she kills Reynolds in cold blood. Using the chaos as a distraction, Chris manages to escape on a motorcycle. However, he crashes and falls under another car. Desperate for help, Chris pleads with the driver, who agrees to take him to safety. But in a shocking twist, the driver, Sebastian, is revealed to be Sky's stepfather and accomplice. Sebastian takes Chris back to Sky, where their sinister plan unfolds. Sky and Sebastian have been working together for years, committing crimes to fund their lavish lifestyle. Sebastian reveals that he killed Sky's mother and married her to maintain their criminal partnership. They plan to steal $40 million from Chris by forcing him to transfer the money. To ensure compliance, they cut off one of Chris' fingers to use his fingerprint for access to his bank accounts. The situation worsens when Chris' ex-wife and daughter arrive for a surprise visit. Sky and Sebastian capture them and lock them in the same room as Chris. After taking the money, the pair leave the house to finalize their escape plan. However, Chris, determined to protect his family, prepares to fight back. When Sky and Sebastian return, Chris ambushes them. A fierce struggle ensues. Sky, armed with a gun, unexpectedly shoots Sebastian, blaming his greed for their downfall. She then turns her attention to Chris, intending to kill him. But Chris' young daughter intervenes, finding a gun on the floor and shooting Sky to protect her father. Sky collapses, and moments later, the police arrive, alerted by the gunfire. The family is finally safe, but the traumatic experience leaves them shaken. Chris reflects on how his trust in Sky led to such danger, realizing that appearances can be deceiving. The movie ends with Chris vowing to be more cautious and protective of his loved ones in the future. Dear viewers, thank you for watching this recap of Shattered 2022. Let us know your thoughts about the movie in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to stay updated on our latest videos. Until next time, stay safe and take care.